speed. It is the purest expression of intent, a language that speaks through precision, timing, and control. Every generation finds its own interpretation of it. Some see speed as dominance, others as art. For those who understand the rare balance between performance and personality, a certain machine from the 1990s remains the benchmark of two-stroke brilliance. A motorcycle that captured the raw, electric pulse of the racetrack and brought it to the street with barely a filter between them. This is not nostalgia for its own sake. It is about engineering ambition that refused to compromise until regulations forced it to. Before electronics softened every edge, before fuel injection tamed the unpredictable, this machine embodied everything thrilling and fragile about analog speed. And today, its legacy rides the thin line between legend and myth. If you appreciate stories of machines that define their moment and still challenge riders decades later, stay tuned. Like the video, subscribe, and tell us in the comments which iconic performance machine you want featured next. The 1996 Suzuki RGV250 SP arrived at a moment when two-stroke engineering had reached its absolute peak. By the mid-1990s, the race replica wars were in full swing, with manufacturers pushing street-legal machines to mirror their Grand Prix counterparts in feel and fury. Suzuki's RGV250 SP was more than just another lightweight sport bike. It was the sharpest interpretation of what a purebred racer could be when given license plates. Underneath its aerodynamic fairing sat a 249 cubic centimeters liquid-cooled 70-degree V-twin engine, a configuration born from decades of competition refinement. Its power delivery was immediate, explosive in its narrow power band, and completely unforgiving to those who hesitated. Riders who mastered it spoke of a sense of connection rarely found in machines since. Those who did not learn respect the hard way. The RGV250 SP's dry clutch, close ratio 6-speed gearbox, and aluminum twin-spar frame gave it a mechanical honesty that defined its era. There was no traction control, no ride-by-wire safety net. Every throttle twist was a test of nerve and precision. In an age when most riders learned on forgiving four-strokes, this two-stroke demanded skill, intuition, and absolute focus. Every element of its design echoed Suzuki's racing DNA. The frame geometry was nearly identical to the factory GP250 bikes. The weight was trimmed to under 300 pounds. The power output, around 60 horsepower, was delivered in a razor-thin band between 9,000 and 12,000 revolutions per minute. Below that, it felt tame. Above it, it became a missile. That power band defined not only how it rode but how it shaped its legend. The RGV250 SP's front end was so sensitive, so communicative, that riders claimed they could feel each millimeter of tire contact. The dry clutch rattled like a bag of bolts at idle, announcing to anyone nearby that this was not an ordinary motorcycle. Its magnesium wheels, adjustable suspension, and race-spec components placed it closer to the pits of Suzuka than to suburban streets. Suzuki's intent was clear: to give enthusiasts the closest legal experience to the RGV500 GP machine piloted by their factory racers. The SP variant, or sports production, took that philosophy further. It was built in limited numbers to homologate parts for domestic racing series, which meant every example was essentially hand-finished to racing standards. Adjustable suspension at both ends, revised carburation, and a dry clutch set it apart from the standard RGV250. The bodywork carried subtle cues like the twin headlamp design and sleek fairing vents, all tuned for aerodynamic efficiency at triple-digit speeds. Riding it was an event. You didn't simply hop on and go. The engine demanded to be kept in its sweet spot, and the gearbox required constant attention. Below 8,000 revolutions per minute, the motor felt docile. Once the valves opened, it surged forward with an intensity that defined the two-stroke character. The exhaust note, a high-pitched metallic scream, was both mechanical and emotional, signaling a time when motorcycles were raw expressions of engineering genius. Every shift, every corner, became a calculated dance between control and chaos. This intensity made the RGV250 SP a cult object among purists. Riders sought them out not because they were easy to live with, but because they weren't. The maintenance schedule was demanding. The oil consumption was high. The fuel economy, laughable. But those who owned one didn't care. They understood that such compromises were part of the experience. It was not transportation. It was immersion. Suzuki had taken a competition engine and adapted it for the street with just enough civility to make it legal. That thin line between compliance and rebellion defined its entire character. The paint schemes echoed Suzuki's racing livery, often in the famed Lucky Strike white and red or the deep blue and purple of their factory colors. The graphics were more than decoration. They were declarations of heritage. When the RGV250 SP appeared in showrooms, it stood as a symbol of everything right about the two-stroke philosophy. Lightweight, high revs, mechanical precision, and rider connection. It was a product of an age that believed the best machines were the ones that tested you. To own an RGV250 SP in 1996 was to understand that performance came with a price. Not in money, but in skill and dedication. Those who mastered it found a sense of accomplishment unmatched by modern electronics-assisted superbikes. That connection between rider and machine was what Suzuki engineers set out to achieve, and in that, they succeeded beyond expectation. The RGV250 SP was not meant for everyone. It was designed for the few who wanted to experience the thrill of racing without the restrictions of a track day. Every ride was an act of focus, every corner a moment of balance. Its design language, from the narrow seat to the sculpted tank, placed the rider in a position of complete control. Yet control was always relative, because at the peak of its power band, the bike seemed to have a mind of its own. That unpredictability, part challenge, part charm, was exactly what made it legendary. Over time, the RGV250 SP became a symbol of purity. It represented the last generation of motorcycles built with racing at their core and street legality as an afterthought. Its short production run ensured rarity. Its uncompromising nature ensured reverence. Collectors recognized that this machine was more than metal and rubber. It was the embodiment of a philosophy that valued skill over software. The 1996 model year stands as a marker in that lineage. The final evolution before emissions laws and market shifts forced Suzuki to abandon the two-stroke platform. It was the culmination of everything the brand had learned from decades on the Grand Prix circuit, distilled into a street machine that asked only one thing of its rider: to be worthy of it. The 1996 Suzuki RGV250 SP existed at the intersection of technology and regulation, a place where innovation collided with inevitability. Two-stroke engines were both miracle and menace. Light, powerful, efficient in displacement, but dirty by nature. They produced clouds of unburned fuel, their distinctive blue haze marking the price of performance. By the mid-1990s, global emission standards had begun closing in. Manufacturers saw the writing on the wall. Yet Suzuki refused to let the RGV250 SP go quietly. Instead, it built what many consider the most refined and focused version of the platform ever made. The RGV250 SP wasn't simply an incremental improvement. It was a final declaration of what two-stroke engineering could achieve before extinction. The engineers fine-tuned the power valve system, optimized port timing, and crafted a chassis that responded with surgical precision. They shaved grams wherever possible, creating a motorcycle that felt alive under the rider. Every cable, bolt, and bracket served a purpose. This mechanical minimalism wasn't aesthetic, it was necessity. In an environment of tightening restrictions, every ounce of performance mattered. The bike's personality came from the delicate balance between fragility and ferocity. It was thrilling, yes, but also unforgiving. A misjudged downshift could over-rev the motor. A sloppy throttle hand could send the rear wheel spinning. The RGV250 SP rewarded smoothness and punished mistakes. That honesty earned it respect from serious riders, racers, and collectors alike. It wasn't about comfort or convenience. It was about feedback. Every vibration, every sound told the rider something valuable. Few motorcycles have ever communicated so clearly. Suzuki's focus on mechanical purity extended beyond performance metrics. The RGV250 SP's aesthetics, sleek fairing lines, twin headlights, and racing decals, carried intention. It looked fast standing still, but its design was more than visual theater. The narrow fairing reduced drag. The compact tank allowed full body positioning through corners. The high tail improved aerodynamics under load. Nothing about the bike was arbitrary. The SP badge itself signified exclusivity. While the standard RGV250 was available in several markets, the SP was built primarily for Japan and select European regions, making it instantly desirable. It featured a dry clutch and adjustable suspension front and rear, components usually reserved for professional racing machines. The dry clutch, in particular, became a defining trait. It rattled at idle but provided faster, more precise engagement when pushed to the limit. It was loud, inconvenient, and utterly purposeful. Exactly the kind of detail that enthusiasts still revere. What made the RGV250 SP even more special was its direct connection to Suzuki's Grand Prix program. The RGV250 series was derived from the same lineage that produced the RGV500, which dominated circuits through the 1980s and 1990s. The lessons learned in racing filtered directly into the SP's design. Port shapes, valve timing, and even frame geometry echoed the race bikes. When owners spoke of the RGV250 SP as a race bike for the road, it wasn't hyperbole, it was truth. The two-strokes efficiency allowed smaller displacement engines to outperform larger four-strokes in terms of weight-to-power ratios. In a world obsessed with cubic centimeters, the RGV250 SP proved that engineering intelligence could outmatch brute force. It could reach 130 miles per hour, revving so freely that it demanded precise shifting to maintain momentum. Its top speed mattered less than how it got there, a rush of acceleration that felt almost alive. Riders often described it as an experience that transcended numbers. While most modern sport bikes achieve performance through electronics and computer mapping, the RGV250 SP achieved it through mechanical choreography. It was the product of humans fine-tuning machines by feel rather than simulation. Every decision, from ignition timing to carburetor jetting, was a statement of craft. This human connection is part of why the RGV250 SP still resonates with enthusiasts today. Yet, for all its brilliance, the RGV250 SP arrived at a tragic time. Environmental policies were changing, consumer tastes were shifting, and the demand for small displacement sport bikes was declining outside Japan. Four-stroke engines, once considered dull, were gaining sophistication. Suzuki itself was preparing for a future dominated by models like the GSX-R series. The two-stroke era was ending not because it failed but because it succeeded too well for its own good. The very characteristics that made the RGV250 SP magical, its immediacy, its volatility, were incompatible with the cleaner, quieter world regulators envisioned. Within a few short years, the production of high-performance two-strokes ceased entirely. Suzuki's engineers moved on to other challenges, but many privately admitted that the RGV250 SP had been their proudest achievement. It encapsulated everything they loved about building motorcycles: challenge, creativity, and risk. For riders, it became a time capsule. Every startup, every ride was a reminder of a time when engineers were free to chase perfection without compromise. The RGV250 SP thus became an artifact of a philosophy rather than just a product line. When you examine one today, every detail tells a story. The hand-welded seams of the aluminum frame, the delicate carburetors tuned for instant response, the tiny expansion chambers curling beneath the fairing. Even its faults, its abrupt throttle response, its constant need for maintenance, speak of purpose. This was not a machine built for convenience but for connection. It forced riders to understand it, to earn its respect, and in doing so, created a bond that modern machines rarely replicate. Collectors who seek the 1996 Suzuki RGV250 SP today do so for that connection. Restoring one is as much art as science. Finding genuine parts, especially the SP-specific components, has become increasingly difficult. Yet the effort only deepens appreciation. When an RGV250 SP returns to life after years of rest, it isn't just another motorcycle running again. It's a piece of history breathing once more. That's the irony of the two-stroke era. It was meant to be disposable, but it became immortal. The RGV250 SP, in particular, stands as proof that performance alone does not define greatness. Soul does. The 1996 Suzuki RGV250 SP carried the final spark of the two-stroke era into the modern age. By the time it rolled out of factories, its fate was already sealed, yet its influence would echo for decades. The shift toward cleaner, four-stroke machines was unstoppable, but the RGV250 SP refused to fade quietly. It became a benchmark for what a lightweight performance motorcycle could achieve when built with no compromises. Every generation that followed, even in Suzuki's own lineup, measured itself against its intensity, its purity, and its sense of purpose. The RGV250 SP taught engineers lessons about balance that extended far beyond displacement or horsepower. It showed that the bond between rider and machine mattered more than numbers on a spec sheet. Suzuki's next generations of sport bikes would draw upon that knowledge, even as they embraced fuel injection, catalytic converters, and electronics. The spirit of the RGV250 SP lived on not in its two-stroke engine but in its philosophy. Minimal weight, direct feedback, and absolute focus on the rider experience. Among collectors, that philosophy transformed the RGV250 SP from an obsolete race replica into a cultural artifact. By the 2000s, enthusiasts across the globe began hunting for unmolested examples, especially the 1996 version with its distinctive paint and SP-specific upgrades. What once sold as a mid-range sport bike became a five-figure investment, and then a six-figure obsession. Rarity drove the price up, but emotion sustained it. Restorers spent countless hours chasing authentic parts, original carburetors, factory expansion chambers, the rare dry clutch assemblies unique to the SP. Each rebuild was an act of devotion, a promise to keep the memory of two-stroke performance alive. When started, a perfectly tuned RGV250 SP doesn't just run, it performs. The idle is uneven, mechanical, restless. The smell of two-stroke oil fills the air, signaling that something alive, something mechanical in the most visceral sense, has awakened. Once warmed, the motor transforms from chatter to clarity, ready to leap into its narrow but glorious power band. It's here that nostalgia meets engineering, a tangible reminder of what motorcycles once demanded from their riders. Modern sport bikes are faster, safer, and easier to ride, but they rarely evoke that same adrenaline-fueled intimacy. The RGV250 SP's unpredictability was its magic. On tight canyon roads or track days, riders describe a connection that feels almost symbiotic. The bike communicates through vibration and sound, warning and rewarding in equal measure. The rider becomes part of the system, constantly adjusting to stay in rhythm with the motor's demands. It is exhausting, exhilarating, and deeply satisfying. No other machine captures the same sense of precision and peril in such a small, beautiful package. For younger enthusiasts who never experienced two-strokes firsthand, the RGV250 SP has become a kind of myth. Online forums and restoration groups trade stories and tips like folklore. Videos of pristine SPs running through their gears draw millions of views, the high-pitched wail serving as a digital time capsule. In an era when sound design and software dominate motorcycle development, that raw scream is a relic of analog performance. The RGV250 SP also stands as a bridge between professional racing and public passion. Its existence allowed everyday riders to touch the same energy that propelled Suzuki's Grand Prix machines to glory. That accessibility, paired with the danger it demanded, created an aura no amount of branding could replicate. Even Suzuki's engineers have acknowledged that they will likely never build another bike like it. Not because they can't, but because the world that made it possible no longer exists. Emissions laws, liability, and technology have reshaped the landscape. Yet the RGV250 SP remains the reference point for purity. It defines the upper limit of what can be achieved when performance is unfiltered. Collectors often compare it to fine mechanical watches. Small, intricate, and dependent on human touch. Every element, from carburetor synchronization to power valve tuning, demands attention. But when it all comes together, the experience transcends machinery. It becomes performance art. The irony is that what was once cutting-edge technology now feels timeless. The RGV250 SP embodies an era when Suzuki's engineers could still listen to intuition rather than algorithms. Its presence in today's garages, museums, and private collections keeps that philosophy alive. Enthusiasts often describe owning one not as possession, but as stewardship. They preserve it not for resale, but for reverence. The RGV250 SP's story is one of transition. The end of two-strokes, the rise of four-strokes, and the enduring need for machines that challenge as much as they thrill. When a collector fires one up today, the sharp, metallic song that follows isn't just a sound. It's a message from another time. A reminder that freedom on two wheels once came with responsibility, that mastery required patience, and that perfection was something you chased, never achieved. The 1996 Suzuki RGV250 SP remains the definitive symbol of that pursuit, forever frozen at the exact moment when motorcycling was both art and science, ambition and rebellion, victory and farewell. The 1996 Suzuki RGV250 SP stands today as more than a motorcycle. It is a living record of an era defined by experimentation, precision, and raw emotion. When viewed through the lens of history, it represents a closing chapter in performance engineering before digital control took hold. Everything about the RGV250 SP, its sound, its vibration, its sharp throttle response, reminds us of a time when skill and mechanical intuition were inseparable. It forced riders to be fully present, to anticipate rather than react. In that sense, the RGV250 SP teaches a lesson that extends far beyond motorcycling. That mastery comes not from convenience but from commitment. The engineers who built it did not aim to please the masses. They aimed to honor a craft. That is why the bike still resonates nearly 3 decades later. Every collector who restores one continues that story, treating the machine not as nostalgia but as legacy. Each restoration brings back the tactile sensations of the 1990s. The smell of premix oil, the whine of a dry clutch, the feel of a chassis balanced perfectly on the edge of physics. In modern terms, it is easy to view such a machine as impractical, but that misses the point. The RGV250 SP was never designed for convenience. It was designed for connection. And in a world where software has replaced intuition, that connection feels more vital than ever. Its 249 cubic centimeters engine, with its unpredictable pulse and relentless urgency, remains a statement of mechanical honesty. It tells the truth about performance. That every gain requires compromise, every advantage demands skill. Modern motorcycles may outpace it in measurable ways, but few can rival its ability to stir emotion. When enthusiasts start one today, they are not chasing speed, they are chasing authenticity. The RGV250 SP offers that in abundance. It asks its rider to be a participant, not a passenger. It rewards understanding, patience, and finesse. And in return, it offers moments of pure exhilaration that no modern electronic system can replicate. That is its gift, and its lesson. Suzuki's creation remains a benchmark for engineers and dreamers alike, proving that passion and precision can coexist without digital interference. The RGV250 SP may have marked the end of an era, but its influence continues in every lightweight, responsive sport bike that values rider engagement over automation. It stands as a reminder that progress and purity are not always the same thing. In preserving and celebrating machines like the RGV250 SP, we preserve an understanding of what true performance feels like. Not the data on a display, but the heartbeat between throttle and asphalt. That is the legacy of the 1996 Suzuki RGV250 SP, a machine that refused to compromise, taught generations what focus means, and left behind a sound that will forever echo in the memory of those who love the art of riding.